Hello and good evening, children of the popcorn. It's the Baron here. Welcome to the Evil Popcorn podcast. Thank you for continuing to listen or watch, depending on how you see, hear, or experience us. It's greatly appreciative of all of us that you're still listening to us. So thank you so much. Tonight, as you can see from the pictures behind us, we're going to be doing another one of our classic Aussie horror films. This one is called The Loved Ones. Now, the only thing I don't have on my list that I realized I should have is what year it was. Does someone know what year it was?
2009, I believe.
Thank you,
2009.
Bat.
Thank you, the Bat.
That sounds right.
So please go around and introduce yourselves to our children of the popcorn.
Yes, good evening, children. It is I, Mr. Popcorn. Let's get it popping. We've got an evil one for you tonight, indeed.
Hello, mortals. I hope we have all been well. I am very excited to be talking about this movie as it has now very quickly become one of my favorites.
Nice.
I knew it.
Gonna have to agree with the Bat there. I'm Scream Queen, but for this episode, I will hereby be referred to as Scream Princess. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Very
Nice.
excited about this movie for
Is,
sure.
is that what the crown is all
Very
about?
good. Very well done.
Yeah,
Nice. Okay. So
that's
good.
what she's crown prince.
I'm not disagreeing.
No,
In
it's true.
the dance
100%.
princess.
All right. So now, for those people that are listening and that haven't seen the film yet, we'll do a little bit of a breakdown to begin with. Then we'll give you a heads up when you should go away and watch the movie, because after that point, we're going to get super spoilery. For those people in the audience that might be a little bit anxious about certain things, just be aware this film contains body horror, self-harm, hints of incest, the death of a loved pet, and drug use. So if that's not your thing, probably best not to watch it, but or have someone there that you can have as your helper human to keep you okay during this film. So a little bit of the storyline of what the film is about. So basically, high school senior Brent Mitchell has a car crash in which his father dies. He is then constantly confronted by his mother's emotional collapse after the accident. Brent escapes into various substances such as marijuana, loud metal music, self-harm, that sort of thing. He gets a bit dejected and out of sorts, but he does have a shot at happiness with his girlfriend Holly, a grounded, caring girl with good looks. She asks him to the school prom, but his plans are thwarted by a disturbing series of events that take place. Syringes, nails, power drills, and a secret admirer. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what's to come in this film. So look, my first thought of this, it has very quickly become one of my favorite of the genre, of the sort of Hills Have Eyes, Texas Chainsaw Massacre style films, where there is an evil family and shenanigans ensue with a normal person. How about the rest of you? What were your thoughts? What were your thoughts on the film?
Question then, yeah. First, sorry, jumping in, apologies. Yeah, I love this film. It's my favorite Australian film. Yeah, like hands down, no competition. Very glad we are covering it, and thank you for your patience. We are here. We are doing The Loved Ones. And I've got a question though. You just mentioned Texas Chainsaw. Absolutely, it's almost a love child of Texas Chainsaw. This movie, absolutely, not an Australian version, but it pays great homage to it in moments, certainly. Yep. And you mentioned Hills Have Eyes, that sort of thing. Is this an Australian hillbilly horror?
Oh, it is, I think, kind of.
Kind of, isn't it? Yeah.
They're not specifically hillbillies, like they're not, but there's that incest inbred kind of thing.
There is like a working class sort of like thing, like he's a maintenance man. I saw the director sort of talking about in like early iterations, he was like a janitor at the school. So I feel like that is definitely like an undercurrent, even if it's not super obvious. I think it it could fall into that criteria, I guess, in like an Australian horror adjacent version of it, which I think is quite fun. They are like out in the sticks, I guess.
The
Interesting.
hills have tradies.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, what did everyone else think? Sorry. I'll cut that out. Sorry, back to you, Barrett. Back to you. I'll cut that out.
But no, it's all good. By all means. What did everyone else think?
I really liked it. I think I'm sort of in the same camp as everyone else. I really didn't expect. I actually had no idea what this film was about, really, except the cover where she's holding the drill and she's got the crown on and stuff. So I really didn't know what to expect. It was amazing. Highly rate it. I just think it was perfect. I did notice like comparisons to Sissy, which we did cover earlier, but I think that I feel like this movie does what Sissy was doing a lot more successfully. And I think the character development is incredible, considering the focus is a lot on the gore of the situation. It's surprising like how in-depth the characters are explored.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
I share the exact same sentiments. As I said, just moments before, this very easily has become one of my favorite movies, like horror movies. And it was I really did enjoy watching it, because lately with a lot of the horror thriller movies I've been watching lately, I've been promised like gore and action, and it just feels like it hasn't truly been delivered. But watching this movie, I was sitting there holding onto my own skin, watching it, being like, oh, that's disgusting, because the gore that happened in this movie was very, for a lack of a better word, very satisfying after so long of feeling like a lot of gore in movies has been dulled down. And I also loved the aesthetics of the movie and the soundtrack. I could go on forever, but I will stop myself now. That way we can talk about it later.
So very seldom do we see a horror film like this set in basically a worker's bungalow with a ute parked out the front, or just off a main road, basically. So yeah, no, it was good. The setting was imaginative. I thought that the actors and everything did an amazing job. I might just quickly run through who's in this. So we've got from sort of top down, the main character Brent is played by a guy called Xavier Samuel. He was in Twilight Eclipse phase.
Yeah, he was.
Was he?
He was, yeah. He was in another film called Frankenstein with McKenna Grace and Carrie-Anne Moss. Robin McLeavy plays Lola, who was also in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, Woo Assassins, and Wolf Like Me. John Brumpton plays the father. He was in Romper Stomper. Now, a lot of the rest of these people, Richard Wilson, Victoria Thane, Andrew Gilbert, Susie Doherty, Victoria Eager, Anne Scott Pendlebury, and Fred Whitlock play various characters in this, and they've all just been on everything that's on TV in Australia. So if they were in Home and Away, Neighbours, All Saints, McLeod's Daughters, Prisoner, the Miss Fisher Mysteries, like a whole bunch of stuff. So a lot of the actors in this are drawn from the Australian television acting community. Jessica McNamee plays Mia. She plays Sonya Blade in the Australian Mortal Kombat reboot films, and she was also in The Meg. But Susie Doherty I will call out in particular because she was in Queen of the Damned and a wonderful Australian horror body horror film called Body Melt, which was introduced to me by a friend of the pod, Cryptid, otherwise known as Cade.
Oh, really?
It's revolutionarily disgusting.
Oh my goodness,
So,
what is happening here? Cade, what are you up to? I'm looking at the images for Body Mount, and it's just
Yeah, no.
face melting. Yeah.
It's special. Yeah, I'd probably suggest we do it at some stage down the track.
It's on the list, I think.
Yeah. So look, those are the characters and the actors. It had a budget of $4 million US. It did only gross 358,400 US dollars in its run. So it didn't make its budget back, unfortunately.
But on that end, it has begun to garner a cult status overseas. I've noticed a lot of independent podcasts who specialize in horror have been looking at this movie of late over the past 3 or 4 months. Yeah. Which is good, which is great. I mean, Blade Runner was slammed when it came out, so hold on, loved ones, people. It is a classic and it will be recognized as a classic. Yeah.
100% agree. So has anyone got any last thoughts before we send the children away to watch the film that they want to get out at the start?
No.
Watch it.
Go and watch it.
Just go and watch it.
It is amazing.
Go in blind.
Stan, yeah, it's on Stan, as
Stan.
the bat pointed out. Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
American,
Stan.
you'll find it. Yeah.
I'm going to give you 5 seconds, people, of just noodling chat, just to sort of sit here and do this so that you can not catch what we're about to start saying about the film, because we're going to start to get really spoilery really quickly. All right. I don't know why I clapped. That's going to look really weird, but that's all right. So let's get into the plot then. Let's get into the plot. So, as I went through the storyline there before, the film starts with high schooler Brent. He's driving with his father. A man appears in the middle of the road. They swerve to avoid the man. Brent crashes the car into a tree and his father dies. One of the first Aussie horror films we've done that hasn't included roadkill at the very start.
Yeah, we had an actual human on the road.
Yeah, actual human on the road. Yeah.
There was roadkill at some stage. So.
Yeah, there was, and there's a little bit of a goof about that too, which I'll remind myself to bring up. Yeah. So then it cuts to 6 months later. We see Brent. He's at school, and he turns down Lola's invitation to the prom in favor of going with his girlfriend Holly. Probably should have said yes. Might have caused a lot less awful. It would have been a short film.
He was nice about it. He was nice about it.
He was.
He was really nice about it.
He's a nice guy.
Especially considering. Yeah.
Do we think she'd have still?
He's not looking too good.
Do we think he would have still been taken back to the house and the same things happened if he'd said yes?
Absolutely.
Okay, but it would have been after the prom.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Princess has a criteria that can never be met. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we get to the very quickly to the sex scene in the car. What was the quote from Chasing Amy? They had sex in the most uncomfortable place, the back seat of a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't know the quote, but they were in the front seat. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Oh, they were in the front seat. Yeah. So I was I tried to make it fit. Oh, I didn't mean that. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
Terrible. Stop it. So yeah, so we go pretty much straight from the sex scene in the film. Brent goes home. We see him with the razor blade that's hidden in his necklace. I don't know that it's particularly well hidden in the necklace, given that it just appears to be a razor blade on a necklace.
I don't know if it's meant to be hidden.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just like out in the open.
I think maybe he hides it under his shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. His mum
also
doesn't
have
seem
that
super
shot where like the steamy car window and Lola is looking in at the two of them, which I thought was quite.
I was uncomfortable.
Yeah, not going to
so like
They are going for it in this scene
The
as well.
voyeurism
Yeah.
aspect, it was scary.
Yeah. What did we think about the way it was shot? Did it feel organic? Did it feel set up? Like,
Oh, good question, because it's much more graphic. You see a lot more than you usually would see. But it's teenage sex in a car. It's not going to be 9.5 weeks. You know what I mean? It is more like it actually is in reality, but it could still be very set up to be that way, though. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
But she was like, Lola was very close to that car. Like, surely you'd see her. Like, even in the throes of passion, surely you would see a figure.
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't
Yeah.
know if she was actually there or not, or if
Ah.
I don't know, because they like have a flashback to that shot later on in the film, so who knows? But I think they were going for that whole like voyeuristic, like, ooh, she's mad, like, what's gonna happen, sort of thing.
Right. Okay. So we now follow Brent as he leaves his house. He goes into a nearby like empty block of land. It might be an old quarry, but there's like a cliff. He climbs up the cliff. The shots to me indicated that he was having suicidal ideation. I was thinking of ending it all right there, but seems to change his mind. Did everyone else get that same sort of feeling?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he wants to, but then you see like he slips and he's scared.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't want to fall. Like he doesn't want to die, really. He's just in a lot of pain. I don't know. I think the way they set up his trauma and his past and his relationship with his mother, it's just so sad, because you're like, you don't even see his dad die in the accident. You just know because you see the shot of him in high school and he looks rough. His hair is grown out. He's got dark circles. Like he's moody. I think it's really well done.
It's the cathartic power of being a metalhead as a teenager. What's happening there?
Okay. Now, just before that, though, his mum seems to not want him to go in the car with Holly. She'd rather him take a taxi. So it gives you a bit of an idea of their home life, that she's a bit nervous. Do we think she sees him as her only connection back to her old life?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I think the implication is he doesn't drive either.
No.
Like he would have just got his license when him and his dad were driving at the start, and now he doesn't drive himself around at all.
Yeah.
Sick. So yeah.
Okay. So then really hard cut to someone knocking him out, and he wakes up tied to the chair. So there's no foreplay in this film. It is straight to the meat. Like we are into the Hills Have Eyes at this point. So his captors appear to be Lola and her father Eric, who have decorated the house in imitation of a prom. So did we all go to our proms? Like, I know Australia has like the formal. Did we all go to them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you have a good time?
It was kind of boring.
Yeah, right.
Did you call them proms? Do you call them proms here?
We call them formals.
Formals, the same as New Zealand. They're called formals, or way back socials, but formals.
Social.
Yeah. Well, see, for us, there were socials. Then in year 11 was the semi-formal, and then in year 12 was the formal.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
So yeah, for our international listeners, that's a little point of difference there. So they've obviously been doing this for a while. They're prepared. Like, this is not something that they have just done in 5 minutes.
Yeah, no. This is well practiced.
They got that disco ball.
Yeah, well practiced, definitely.
So everyone, what were your thoughts at this point of the film?
Well, they have this beautiful shot of Lola's bedroom, which like
I love that.
that montage is sort of like our first look into the villain. And it's like it's pink and it's sparkly and it's girly and she's listening to Casey Chambers and she's insane. Like very clearly from the get-go. She's like drawing little hearts and then this sort of mysterious circle in the middle of Brent's forehead. And it's crazy. And it's also we're introduced to her and her dad's relationship, which Freud would have a lot to say about, I think.
And the FBI.
So this is our first, and everyone should know about this and someone should help her. But yeah, I just thought it's so insane because it's like so pink and bubbly and fun. And you just know something awful is gonna happen. Like, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
But given that they're as close to town as they are, how do you think they've been doing this as long as they have, or as effectively as they have, and not got caught?
Well, maybe she picks troubled boys. Like maybe like for example, Brent obviously has quite a lot going on. People wouldn't really bat an eye if he just all of a sudden went missing. We don't really know a lot about you.
What does the father do again?
So it could be the case. People just.
I think he's a handyman. I think the side of his ute had like Eric something handyman services.
Yeah, it's like maintenance. Home maintenance or something.
Yeah. I don't. It's not. Yeah, there's choosing the troubled children, but it's not a big town though. Is the thing, and there's a lot of prospective grooms that have come into this little prom party in the past. I don't want to say it's a stretch of reality, but I can't really see any kind of creative way around it. That's just my opinion. Yeah. But I'm happy with that. I'm more than willing to let this go in the case of this film.
Yeah. I think the movie is trying to be like I think it's just like, oh, you have to drive down a bushy road to get to their house. No one's checking in on them.
Yeah.
I guess. Like it's an open stretch of road. You can drive 150 k's an hour. No one is coming down this road. I guess is this sort of justification.
Saying that though, there are serial killers, which this movie does make reference to. We'll get to later on. A very famous serial killer. They get away with murdering a lot of people in the past, and I know it was in the 1970s, 80s before there was DNA and cameras everywhere. But this movie, I think, is kind of like playing on those premises, though, as well, because it's paying homage to them. In terms of a suspension of reality.
Yeah.
And, and in small towns, bad things happen, and serial killers in the past have gotten away with killing a lot of people before they got caught. So the world's a messed up place, so it is possible. Yeah, it is possible.
So, because at this point of the film, we're introduced to Bright Eyes, who is the woman sitting at the table with a suspicious round scar in the middle of her forehead. Do we think that this has been going on for more than one generation?
I actually, when I was watching this movie, I watched it with my housemate, and the two of us made a theory behind Miss Bright Eyes, and it does lead back into the relationship between the daughter and the father. Because obviously, spoiler alert, it is revealed that Bright Eyes was the mother. So we came to the conclusion or believed that once this relationship started building between father and daughter, that they wanted to, I guess, eliminate the mother. That way they could do whatever it was that they were doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure how long ago that was. So I'm not sure, yeah, how many years they've been doing it for. If they mentioned it, it slipped over my
Yeah.
head and I was not listening, but
No, it was never made clear how long they've been doing it
Okay.
for.
I wouldn't be surprised if, a generation before this, it had also happened. I feel like you would need a significant amount of generational trauma to just end up like that.
Yeah.
I feel like they would have to be doing a lot of work to make her the child that I feel like you couldn't do that in one generation.
No.
Like unless like they are doing just awful shit at an accelerated rate, which I wouldn't be surprised considering their actions.
You had
But there's a lot going on under the
you had your hand up, Mr. Popcorn?
Yes, under the surface, exactly, Scream Queen. The amount of, because there's bodies underneath this place, yeah? We
Yeah,
are into
yeah.
smaller territory, so we're gonna jump around. And there are bodies, there's bodies underneath this place. Do you think the amount of bodies underneath match up to the amount of time she's been at school and gone to proms? That's in her little macabre scrapbook. Because if there's more, I'm just going from what's shown on screen. If there are more bodies,
yeah.
skeletons underneath, then yes, it's multi-generation. Yeah.
Well, I think
That's
as
true.
well.
There were a lot of skeletons.
Yeah, I think the skeletons were roadkill.
yeah.
Because they feed.
Yeah,
Yes.
They feed the zombies
Yeah.
underneath, but there's nothing saying there couldn't be human skeletons in there as well.
Exactly.
I
Good
like
question.
that
Good question.
I like that they kept that dark and you didn't get to see absolutely everything. Like, it still gave you some questions.
Yeah.
All right. So at this point, then Lola reaches over and injects Brent's voice box with bleach. We're presuming bleach because it's blue in color.
That's
Destroying
what
his
it was.
vocal cords, making him unable to scream or talk. I wonder if that's permanent.
Trumpets. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just trying to cure his COVID. That's all they were doing.
Exactly.
So yeah, I wonder if
how
that's
much
permanent.
experimentation did they have to do to like figure out this
Yeah.
is the best way?
Yeah.
Like they would have been trying out things on these boys and they're just like, oh yeah, we need to inject their vocal cords with bleach. That's the best way to do it. Just quiet them up.
My theory with that is they've gotten to this point with their system because I think they've been practicing on like travelers or homeless people or swagmen, we'd call them in Australia, like traveling people come past, they pick them up on the road, they bring them back, they experiment on them with various household substances just to see how they can stop them from talking and giving them like homemade drill-based lobotomies. She begins to humiliate him, slap him, all that sort of stuff. Yep, we've definitely lost the Scream Queen. And is getting what I would consider super turned on by the whole situation.
Yeah.
Which begins to get super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because the dad seems to be into it.
Yeah. This is all sexual. Yes, basically, to put it bluntly. Yeah.
But now they haven't tied Brent down particularly well yet. He frees himself, he gets outside. Then they have that whole set to with him up a tree and the dad runs the ute into the tree so that Brent falls out of the tree. I have to admit, I think I wrote it down here on my notes. Yeah, because the chair wasn't particularly well screwed down.
I'm back.
I haven't written it down. Scream Queen's back. Hello. So yes, we have we've skipped over the dog as well, haven't
Yes.
we?
We have
His pet dog. Sorry, I skipped over that. Maybe it was subconscious.
intentional.
Yeah. So yes, just be aware, folks, that the main character Brent does have a dog, and the dog doesn't survive the film. That's as far as I'll go. If anyone else has a feeling about it, please feel free to bring it up.
I just want to note that I was taking notes throughout this film, as I do, and I go, "Oh, this dog is so cute," and then my next note is literally like, "Oh God," much how I
Yeah.
feel about it. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah. So yes. So yes, they recapture Brent, they bring him back inside, and they nail him to the floor with knives.
Huge.
Yippee!
Oh,
Yeah. Better than nails. Active, I suppose. More
Yeah,
painful.
and it was a beautifully done scene too. Like I'm not quite sure how they did it, but it was definitely done practically.
Yeah. Is it all
and
practical, Baron? You've got an eye for that sort of
Ugh.
thing. Is it practical in this movie?
I saw no CG.
Don't think so, eh?
I think they just had a really good props team, and I think they had a really good eye for setup.
in the credits, the SFX artist list is quite extensive.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, now he is connected to the floor more effectively. And we get to see the scrapbook with the photos of Lola's past dates or victims. And Brent recognizes a Timmy Valentine, the bloodied man who caused the crash at the start of the film. So yeah, they're going back at least 6 months.
And they
so
say something like he got away.
yeah,
So
Yes.
he didn't get hit by the car, because they don't actually know where he is.
no,
So
no.
Ooh.
he's just sort of lost to the wind at this point. We have no idea if he's dead or alive.
Yeah.
Very
Jesus.
interesting.
And
just
he
while-
was the
sorry,
brother
Peter.
of Mia.
Sorry, Baron, just while we're on the torture scene, just while
Yeah.
it's still pertinent, I was just scrolling the Wikipedia there. This had a copycat killer.
Yep.
Did you guys pick this up at all?
I have it in my notes.
You've had it in your notes. All right. Sorry, I'll
Yeah,
leave it
for
there.
real. So
Yeah.
no, it's all good. I'll now that you bring it up, I'll go through it. So in March 2013 at Chester Crown Court, Judge Elligan Edwards described a sadistic torture murder as a reenactment of a scene from this film. During sentencing, Judge Evans described the defendant Gary George as particularly liking the loved ones. The victim, Andrew Knoll, was brutally beaten, sustained 49 knife wounds, and had cleaning fluid found in his eyes. George was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 30 years.
Did this person, I mean, they surely didn't live.
Oh, I didn't check that. That's a good question.
Did they survive the torture?
Let's see.
Probably not. That seems
Torture?
extensive.
No, not ball torture. Jeez.
Is that your search history then?
Well, okay, if you watch Dead City, Dark City, the Cleaner, the New Zealand serial killer show that's just come out, there's some
Wow.
ball torture in that.
It's a New Zealand serial killer show.
Yeah, it's set in Christchurch.
That's my hometown. Okie dokie.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Dark City, the Cleaner. It's on
Jesus.
SBS On Demand. I mainlined it in one sitting.
Wow, that
All
good.
episodes in one
Wow.
day, straight
Wow.
up, one after another.
Fuck yeah.
Sadistic killing of friend. So obviously, I think he died. So Gary
Friend?
George, a
He was a
horror
yeah,
film
a
fanatic who
Brit.
killed his friend. Gary George, 41, will serve a minimum of 30 years after he tortured and mutilated Andrew Knoll, 53, in a cruel and sadistic attack. George was obsessed with witchcraft and horror films. Chester Crown Court was told he particularly liked to watch The Loved Ones, a 2009 Australian film in which an attack takes place with chilling similarity to the death of Noel.
G'day. You can be a horror movie fan, and you can be a horror movie fan.
After killing a homeless alcoholic, went to an off license where he told the shop assistant they would just kill my best mate. Cruel and vicious. Wow. He was beaten, kicked, stabbed on dozens and dozens of occasions. A strange long wound was carved into his abdomen. Salt was found in his wounded body. He was tortured.
If you're listening to this and you're not watching this, this is my entire
there's an article on The Guardian if you want to read up. I'm not going to read it, but it's quite a long article.
Whoa.
But yes, as Mr. Popcorn says, it was on the Wikipedia page for the film.
Yeah.
That is scary.
It's insane. So yes, where are we up to? Abduct together, family that abducts together, something rhymes with abducts together. The tuxedo was a particularly good fit on Brent, I thought.
He looks good.
That's true.
He obviously had his size.
Surely. I mean, she's watching.
Yes. I did have a note here when the mum appears, and I've got mum or grandma in inverted commas question mark. Yeah, oh no, it's the mother, but this was early on.
Yeah,
this was my stream of consciousness note. Okay. Interesting family dynamic is my next note.
To say the least. The table scene, there are a few lines in there where she's just like, oh, well, you better not get too skinny because otherwise daddy's not gonna like you anymore. Or whatever. Just very competitive between the daughter and the mother.
It's a little
horrific. I also sorry.
No, go.
I was just gonna say that comparative to the dog, me being like, oh, dog, and then oh no. I also have a line that's like, damn, like he really loves his daughter. Like he bought her a dress, he kidnapped someone for her, and then I was like, oh no, I take it all back. I take it all back. Like, I was like, dad of the year, and then I was like, never mind. He's not.
All right, so where are we up to? Okay, so Timmy Valentine is the brother of Mia Valentine, who is the prom date of Jamie, who is Brent's best friend. The only part of this that felt a bit weird to me, other than is that they do that kind of B plot with the actual prom, which doesn't seem to go anywhere really.
Yeah, I sort of had the same reaction to it, but then I do like seeing the sort of web, how all of these characters are connected by Lola. They have all been directly affected by her actions, and we're seeing that trauma and like the way it has affected, you know, is it Jimmy, the kid? Jimmy Valentine?
Timmy. No.
Timmy.
Hang on, Timmy.
Close.
Timmy Valentine, the bloodied man who caused the crash. Timmy turns out to be the brother of Mia, the prom date of Jamie, who's Brent's best friend. Jamie is the best friend, right? Okay.
Yeah, gotcha. So, like, you can see that she is like she has taken a huge dip. You know, she is trying to drown her sorrows. She's very sad. Her parents are very sad.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to see, because they're building this narrative around Lola and around, like, they really want you to have someone to root for.
Yeah.
Or more importantly, root against. Which I think is why this movie is so good.
Brent's best friend, Lola. Then, oh, okay. So we're up to the point where Lola brands Brent by carving her initials into his chest with a knife and then putting salt on it. Just every time I thought this film couldn't take another step into torture, it went, hold my
Yeah.
beer.
Yeah, it escalates very nicely. The pace of it's good.
And if you can have a look at the picture behind me there, you can just see precisely how happy Lola is with her handiwork just before she's about to spread the salt on the wounds there. So obviously they're having a good time.
She
Yeah,
really
this
is
is-
like a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And this is well before art as well. She's used bleach and salt already. Love art,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong.
Maybe she should marry Art the Clown.
Oh, that's a couple. Yeah.
Horror movie power couple.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Eric, the dad, crowns Lola the prom queen, and that's when we start to get very sort of text with the incestuous feelings. So like it's not a this is a possible feeling. This is like it's very definitely said. Okay. I've written down here wishbone.
Yeah,
Oh,
which
yeah.
Why did I write
Oh,
wishbone?
they had a wishbone, yeah.
from the bucket
Oh,
of
okay,
chicken.
for the dinner.
Oh, I was going to have a
Yes,
glass
yes.
of milk to pull out at this point. God damn it, I forgot.
The whole
Because
Billy
American-
Dinwood scene.
Because Americans, I've
Nice.
tried milk in front of Americans and they're disgusted by it. I was listening to a podcast today about this. Their main point of grossing out a whole movie is when she drinks the glass of milk. I don't know. Bizarre. Bizarre. Yeah. But they're eating a bucket
Why?
of chicken.
I know
Yeah,
some
I don't know.
people
Yeah.
some people really think adversely to drinking whole like glasses of like whole milk. People think that it's absolutely disgusting. Even here. I mean I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, no,
anymore because I
yeah.
drink oat milk.
Um,
People
it
think
maybe-
it's disgusting.
is it maybe because ours is pasteurized and homogenized and theirs isn't?
There's not maybe. Maybe that's the case. Yeah. I just found it odd that you've just watched this brutality and oh no, not milk. But the wishbone was, yeah, they broke it and it was, yeah, lovey moment between
Yeah.
father and daughter.
Okay. Yeah, because my next is interesting family dynamic again.
Yeah.
And so then they have the father-daughter dance.
I'm not pretty enough. It's played for the fourth time.
It's such a perfect song for this. Like
Yeah.
What's the history of that song
it's
in
just
Australia?
amazing.
Does
I'm
it
like, I
come
want to add this to
from
my
this?
playlist.
Does it come from this movie? Or was this a pop hit back in the day here?
I think
No,
it
it was
was
a-
definitely
it was a hit.
popular at the
Yeah.
It was a hit,
time.
okay.
Yeah.
For Americans, it sounds
Um,
like Natalie Imbruglia. Yeah, it's got a very similar kind of style to that.
Okay. So according to the internet that I have here, Casey Chambers, produced by her brother Nash Chambers, and it, come on, 2017, the song was selected for the National Film and Sound Archive Sounds of Australia collection. It got to #1 in Australia.
Okay,
It got to
there
#4 in New Zealand. And it got to, doesn't say what it got to in the States. But it was Hot Adult Contemporary Radio in 2002. So yeah, it was after my school time, so I don't think it's something that I particularly listened to. But yeah, it was big. It was a big song.
side of the movie. Okay, cool.
So now at this point, they are interrupted in their dance, and we go to the trapdoor in the floor where they've got the cellar, which is not really a thing Australians have. Like a house like that, normally I would expect to have like 2 feet of clearance under the house to dust where the dog normally sleeps.
Yeah, totally.
So
The horror
the
device.
cellar's really kind of a sort of European American thing, but it's a horror standby. So
Yeah, it is. Totally. of this
So,
subgenre.
and we see
particularly.
yeah, it's the cavern under the house.
I like to imagine.
So we see the
Sorry.
Please.
I was going to say,
No,
I
you
like
go
to
on,
imagine
it's
that
alright.
he has built this specifically for this purpose. You know,
Purpose
it's
built.
like how if a kid's really
Okay.
into like ballet and a family's like, oh, we'll convert this corner of the garage into a little bar and we'll put a mirror up. This is his equivalent. He's
Yeah,
like,
okay.
oh, well, if she wants to bring boys home and kill them, we're going to need to fill in under the house and make a little door.
Mhm. And yeah,
That's how I like
Do
to
you-
think of it.
no, I had the same thought process where he must have built it specifically for that, because I did notice that there was no like staircase or ladder, so there was no way to ever exit that little dungeon
Yeah.
cellar area. So yes, exactly the same as what Scream Queen just said.
Mm.
It was most likely definitely built just like for like the daughter's hobby. Like the father would have definitely
Yeah.
been like, oh, my little princess, what's that? You store all your boys. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which does
I
raise the
wonder if they had a
question.
name for it.
Yeah, true. Raises the question, who's pulling the strings here?
Yeah.
The father or the daughter? Because the father wants the
Yeah.
daughter. Yeah. In every
It's
way.
such a good question.
Or they're both kind,
Well,
because
like-
she doesn't until the end, acquiesce to him. But I don't know if they're basically it's a combination of the two psychologies. Scream Queen.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I think you're right, because there's an element you're like, she's a teenager. She's clearly been groomed. Like something has gone on there to like make this a normal dynamic in the thing, but it's clear that she is like the dominant personality. I've been watching a lot of Criminal Minds, so I'm like, ooh, this unsub, the dominant personality. But like he listens to he does everything that she asks, and like without question.
Okay.
So in this, I feel like she is absolutely calling the shots, because she's like, Daddy, bring me the hammer.
Daddy's little princess.
You know?
So she
Like Violet Beauregard.
So she decided Bright Eyes' fate. She decided to, she was the one who orchestrated Bright Eyes, turning into a Dahmerist zombie. In your opinion?
Yeah.
I would say so.
Okay.
Is my best guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the answer, just curious. Yeah.
All right. So, okay, fair enough. Maybe one of our listeners has a theory and they can write in and tell us.
Yes. Please do.
Yeah. So, children, if you have a theory, if you've seen it, if you have a theory, write in and tell us. So now we start to get to the point where I thought I got to the next level of they cannot escalate this any further. There is no way they are going to drill into. Oh, they drilled into his skull. Oh God. Oh no, she's having trouble pouring the hot water. That'll be fine. He'll survive. Oh, they're making the hole bigger. Oh God, I'm literally sitting on my couch in the other room here going, no, I just, oh.
I don't think I've ever shook my head
yeah,
as much
Really?
as I did
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was just sitting there like, no, no, no. I was sitting there with my little book. If you can't see, I've got my little book up in front of my face. It's exactly how I was watching the film, just up like this.
Hmm.
Oh, it was bad. I was exactly the same. I was like, no way, like he's the hero. They're not gonna let it get this far. He's not gonna get a hole drilled in his head. That's insane. But it happens and he doesn't escape. And you're like, oh my God, somebody help this poor man.
I also
amazing.
wrote, like, I had my phone writing notes watching this movie, and I wrote down that the sound of the drilling in the skull is the worst.
Yeah.
The
It's a great
entire time it was happening, when the father went to go do it, that the noise that happened when he was doing it, my housemate and I, we were sitting there like hands on our heads, like fidgeting, being like, oh, no, like this is no way this is happening.
The
We just felt so,
smoke
Yeah.
oh, it was
the
terrible.
drill.
Yeah.
My thought was that smoke, or was that little like dust from the skull?
Maybe a combination of both.
That's a
but
very
the
nice touch.
smell, the crunching and the squelching.
So
Horrible.
So I've had the opportunity in my life to work with bone a couple of times for props and stuff.
Ooh.
And it was both bone dust and smoke.
Bone dust and smoke. Yeah.
And
Okay.
it looked exactly right.
Wow.
That's a good band name.
Yeah.
Bone dust and smoke. Smoke and bone dust.
Bone Dust and
yeah.
Smoke. That's the
Great
band that
detail.
actually
Great
played the
detail.
music for the soundtrack.
Yeah. So I used to be a
It's the name of the episode.
a Viking reenactor. I used to be a Viking reenactor, and we used to make bone buttons and horn stuff. And yeah, it isn't. I at that point in the film, I had the smell as well, because it was a memory of work
Yeah.
cutting through bone. So I had the smell as well.
Yeah, cool.
If anyone's interested to find out what it smells like, what I'll get you to do, children, is get a pair of nail clippers, just cut a little bit of a fingernail off, and then get a lighter and just light the end of the little piece of fingernail, and then inhale that. That's what it would have smelled like. So that's a smell-o-vision for you.
Personally, I will not be partaking in that little experiment, but props to anyone who does. Write in. Let us know what that experience is.
Send us a video.
Yeah.
Someone else can sift through those.
Yeah, okay.
We'll show it on. We'll put it on X, the only platform that allows.
I don't think anyone's looking at my live journal. I could put it up on Live Journal probably. Alrighty. So so this is another one of those things where they've got a system. So you drill a hole, you pour the hot water in, that lobotomizes them. Like, how do you discover that? How many people do you go through? Like, is this something that's come in from generations past? Is it like it? The other thing with the film is it doesn't appear to have a particular time frame. So none of the technology really dates the film. I don't remember seeing any cell phones, or I mean, obviously it's 2009, so it'll be
there are a
before
few.
iPhones.
There's like an iPod and
Was there an iPod? Oh,
a
yeah,
flip
he has an iPod.
phone.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I retract that
But
statement.
this specifically where Lola and her father live feels very dated. Even looking at the background, like Jean's background, you can see little things about the house that are just quite old fashioned.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they obviously won't have had the internet to look all this sort of thing up. So that's obviously trial and error.
That's so cute.
And good point with the
people are just on their phones too much these days.
And good point with the background and decorations as well, because they're going back to a time of yore and the ideology of a time of yore. She wants a princess, a kind of suburban, rural reimagining 1950s, America.
Yeah, it does feel very like school dance from the 50s vibes.
Yeah, and it's divorced from the reality of outside of this place entirely. Yeah, intentionally so.
Yeah. All right, so now at this point, Brent manages to free himself again. Struggles to, like, obviously causing himself a lot of damage, and doesn't end up with the boiling water poured into his brain, which is good.
Phew.
He attacks the dad with his hidden razor blade, the razor blade that they didn't know about, so it was under his shirt, obviously, or something, and then stabs him with one of the knives he's pulled out of his feet. So
Yeah.
just rest with that sentence. Stabbed him with one of the knives he pulled out of his feet.
I'm resting with it.
Like, I have a memory as having had a pin stuck in my foot when I was a kid, and the pain of pulling a pin out of my foot, I still have a memory of. I cannot imagine what it must have felt like to do what Brent did at that point.
No. Like, at what point does survival instinct kick in? That's
Yeah.
something I never want to find
No,
out
no.
ever.
Yeah, I mean, we'd all do
Right.
it.
But it's
we
just
would all
it's
do it.
insane.
Don't want to get to that point
Yeah.
of having to do it.
No.
Uh,
Yeah. I also think it's important to mention while all of this is happening, they also have Brent's girlfriend and mum and police officer, who was also one of the victims' father,
Yeah.
trying to investigate what has happened. And we have his girlfriend in particular, Holly, making quite a few revelations. And also one of my favorite parts of the movie, so I just want to mention it, is she goes into his room and she finds flowers and a card that he was planning to give her
so
for their formal.
So it's the corsage. I think she finds the corsage that he was going to pin to her dress.
Yeah, something. Yeah, and there's a card with Humpty Dumpty on it, and in the card it says, "You did what all of the king's horses men couldn't do. I love you," or something. And it's just like heartbreaking. Again, it's just like another layer to, you're just rooting for Brent so much at this point. Like, he's already been through so much, and it's just like the little things that they add throughout that just like add humanity to the situation, considering the chaos of everything else. It's so well done.
Do we have a favorite scene in the film? What do you reckon is your favorite scene?
My favorite scene was when the daughter was getting crowned, because it felt so, in the best possible way, it felt so out of place. Like, the whole movie, it's like intense. There's gore happening, like there's just like so much intensity happening, and then you just have this one brief moment where it feels like a coming of age movie out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I actually let out a bit of a cackle watching it. But I did write down that was definitely my favorite bit, where she was getting her crown put on, and she, like, it was in slow-mo and she was so happy. I found it funny.
Nice. I look, if I had to pick one, I'd have to say when they're chasing him up the tree with, like,
that's right.
Spotlight.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really nice sort of slapstick moment in the film.
Yeah, and those moments.
What about you, Mr. Popcorn?
Those moments there, Baron, the comedic moments actually mitigate. I don't know if you have this in your notes, but I'll just say it now, just as you brought it up. Those comedic moments actually mitigated it lowered the rating. It was at R18 and then went to M15 because of comedic moments like that, mitigated the love interests, apparently, mitigated the violence and the gore. Yeah, so we're from 18 to 15 because of moments like that. Yeah, but that's not my favorite moment, even though it's very good. Right, mine's the drill. Yeah, I thought it was marvelous. I think drills. I've always wanted more drills, more drill kill scenes in horror movies, and decent ones, not slumber party massacre nonsense. That's just me. But I want proper brutal stuff like this, and the attention to detail that was pointed out before. Very satisfied. Yeah. So that's definitely my favorite.
Yeah. What about you, Screen Queen?
I can't go past the last scene.
The final scene.
The final scene. That was
Okay.
my
We'll-
favorite.
we'll-
I'm not gonna
we'll get to that.
say what it is. We'll get there, but
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
perfect.
yeah. Do we think that the adding of the comedic scenes and the love interest was done on purpose, or do you think it was a happy accident?
I think it was very intentional.
Yeah. Just though, yeah, some of the angles and how it was edited, you have to look back and think they decided to put that in there intentionally.
I think
Like,
sorry.
No, you go.
I was just saying I read an interview with the director, and he intentionally lent into sort of the common high school sort of John Hughes stereotypes,
Mm.
like the girl next door and, you know, the stoner and that sort of vibe. So I think like a lot of the band of characters are like quite intentionally chosen.
Okay.
What do you think the director's trying to say
In
with
that way.
it? Say by doing this type of thing, making these type of references, setting up this parallel between utter torture and horror to going to the prom with your loved one. And then
I
how the
think-
utter horrors commenting on the prom in a way, by making a horrific version of it, just showing that the whole thing is a bit kind of shallow and facile. That's just my kind of observation, if anyone else has one.
I think the scenes of normalcy throw the rest of the film into sharp contrast.
Sure. Yeah.
So we see real life, we see the prom or the formal, and people go, "Oh, that's a touchstone. I know what that is." Then they cut to someone getting a hole drilled in their head, and it's like, "Oh, that's not right." So I think it maybe it even heightens the horror by showing us scenes
Sure.
of normalcy.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that he sort of said in the same interview, I'll find out which one it was, but because of the pop bubblegum sparkly aesthetic of the whole film, it like gives the opportunity to push the gore, like the more, like, sort of as the Baron was saying, the more you push that pretty princess aesthetic, the gorier you can go with it. I think that the director was really interested in doing that, and I don't know if that like necessarily has any deeper like societal meaning, but I don't necessarily think it needs to. I
No, it
think it's
doesn't.
just like kind of revolutionary.
Alrighty, so then we have where are we up to? Brent pushes Eric, the dad, into the cellar where the starving and now deranged captives tear him apart. I liked this was hidden in darkness. It meant that for the film they didn't have to spend additional money on a scene they didn't have to. So basically we don't see all the details, but we are made aware of the details by the soundscape and the silhouettes and all that sort of thing. I think they saved a lot of money here on a scene and made the scene better because of it.
Yeah, less is always more. It leaves more up to the imagination.
Then Lola pushes Brent into the cellar and she's throwing crap at him to try and kill him, which never works in these sort of things. What it does mean though is Brent gets hold of a flashlight and a hammer, and he uses them to defend himself against the zombies in the cellar.
Yeah, and there's a nice cut, if I remember. They're about to, overpower him, and it cuts to black. And there's a lot of sound of a lot of fighting going on. Yes, a lot of struggle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, very well done. Yeah, utilizing resources well.
Right. There we go. Now we cut back to the cop's daughter, Jessica. Mia. She's drunk. She gets home from the party, and then we have that sort of, once again, the family touchstone with a situation that people would be aware of. and we then go back to the murder house where Lola is smothering her mother.
Yeah.
I didn't see this coming. This was not at all telegraphed to me. I didn't foresee the mother dying at Lola's hand.
Hmm.
Either.
It's
No.
not telegraphed. No. I've seen it many times, so I forget whether or not, I saw it coming in the beginning. Yes, I don't think it's obvious, though. No, I don't think it's obvious.
Mm. Okay, and it seems to be out of jealousy,
Totally.
rather than murderous rage. It's a jealousy rather than rage.
Yeah, it's petty,
so we
which
cut
makes the
back
actual act
again.
very pathetic and gross. Yeah, she's not a nice, not a nice person.
Yeah, like it seems to be out of character for a murderous character.
Oh, I don't know. I think
Um,
it's in character. Yeah, I think she's that petty, that jealous. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think after her
Scream
dad
Victims.
dies, it's full on psychological break. Like
Yeah.
she
Okay.
is
Yeah, that
snapped.
break is- yeah.
In criminal minds, it's what they would call an escalation.
okay,
You know?
okay, fair enough.
Cool.
I'll bow to the group on that one. So now we get to see a bit more interaction with Mia's father, who's the police officer. He now gets dragged into the story to be promptly killed with a meat cleaver. So did we all have cop dies on our bingo list?
No.
Not that I was making one, but perfectly fine with it.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
cop.
No, I think in the context of like yeah. I wanted him to find information about his son, but the fact that he's a cop, it's not terribly tragic.
I mean, he was at least trying to like save the day.
Yeah, he was doing the right thing.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. But yes, the whole police factor.
But it's a trope. It's a trope that these people will be picked off at some point. Yeah, yeah, it really is. If you've got a cop uniform or a uniform in general, you're in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I put here in my notes. Cop is at the murder house. Well, you're fucked, buddy. Told you.
Pretty much.
So then Lola starts taunting Brent, saying she's going to kill Carla as revenge for her father. She's going to kill Holly for breaking her heart. Like she's gone full single white female. She's going to boil people's bunnies and all that sort of thing.
Nice references.
But Brent at this point obviously is still in the pit. I'm going to call it the pit, whatever they called it. The boys' bedroom. Yeah, the murder shed. So I also put a note here. You're going to need those climbing skills, which we saw at the start in the
That's true.
the quarry or whatever. So yes, he climbs out of the pit using the pile of corpses. Well, if you don't have a ladder, improvise. Very MacGyver of him. Then we've got Lola walking along the road. She sees Holly approaching in her car. She throws a scrapbook at the windscreen and attacks Holly, who flees on foot. Back at the house, Brent has gotten into the police car and has then driven down the road and runs over Lola. Holly then gets into the police car, is shocked to see Brent. The two embrace tearfully. The lovers are reunited. But Lola cannot be killed. She's doing her.
She can't. She's like Slaughterhouse, Alpha vibes. Just like nothing can defeat her.
It's they always come back. Yeah, they
always come back.
Yeah, it's that whole thing.
So yeah, I had a note here that she's like the Terminator.
Yeah, that's cool as well. Yeah.
But yeah, she's really badly hurt and she's dragging herself along the road.
Is broken. Her legs
Yeah.
are broken.
Yeah.
And I just have a note that says, run that bitch down. Because that's what I wanted to happen so bad.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
it's
know if
out
you
of
can see there. I
place.
think that's the moment you're talking about there. Can you see that GIF on the screen?
No.
Okay, never mind. Carry on.
I have a note here that's out of place, but the note I was going to mention about the roadkill. So the roadkill does feature in this Australian film, like it features in most Australian horror films. If you go back and have a look at it and you freeze frame on it, it's got very obvious stitching. So it's obviously like a stuffed toy, or they've made it. You can see the construction of the roadkill.
What is it? What is the animal? Just remind me there, Baron.
It's a wombat.
Yeah.
Do they see it at the start and at the end?
No, I think
No, so
it
it's
only features because it's one of the few Australian horror films where they don't hit an Aussie animal at the very
yeah,
start of
because it
the
was the
film.
human at the start. Because I was just wondering if they were going to do another Texas Chainsaw Massacre reference there. Yeah, with the roadkill. Yeah, at the beginning and at the end there. Because there is a obvious when at the start of the dinner scene when Brent wakes up and then she comes into frame with her head smiling at him. It's basically a shot by shot, take from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
It's
It's amazing. So it's obviously heavily in the DNA of this film.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, we're right at the very end here. Alola approaches the car. Brent sticks it in reverse, crushes her head all over the road.
Is that your favorite scream queen?
And
Chef's kiss. Perfect. He did run that bitch down.
yeah.
And look, I'm all for feminist villain, good for her movies. I've seen Gone Girl.
Yeah.
I'm an Amy
Jennifer's
Dunn
Body.
sympathizer. Jennifer's Body. Kill man, yes. But I have this written down. Very important. This is the first film that I've watched where I'm desperately preying on a woman's downfall. I'm deeply, deeply hoping that something bad happens to her and the final boy makes it to the end.
Final boy.
Doesn't happen often. I like that switch.
Yeah, there are some nice gender switches because you could even argue that the family dynamic is a gender reversal of the Oedipal myth in a very fucked up fashion.
It's called an Electra complex.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's the terminology. Yeah, definitely. And also question, like we were talking about contrast between normal world and the family's world in this film, and the fact that you are perfectly fine, Scream Queen, with this bitch getting her head crushed. Does that suggest that
unusual.
she is the ultimate villain? You're not meant to sympathize with her. You're not meant to empathize with her. And this whole point of contrast between the two spaces of the film heightens that and makes you go, fuck yeah, kill her at the end. Yeah. Is that the drive? Is that what the director, etc., wants you to feel at this very moment? At this very moment, yeah.
I think so. I don't know. I if you compare it, you want to compare it to a film like Sissy, which is
Sure, please, yeah.
Kind of similar, like crazy girl. She loves glitter. She's stuck in her childhood. That sort of character. You sympathize with Sissy a lot, and a part of that is to do with the fact that her friends are literally terrible people, just the worst. Whereas this is very different in the fact that you're seeing the villains do horrible, depraved things. They don't show like a fleck of humanity. They go as far to mock the victim and mock their family member. And you're on the outside, you're seeing Brent and his family and how much they love him. There is just like no room for sympathy for Lola. Like at the start, I was like, oh, she's crazy. I love her.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Yeah. Together, yeah.
And they're laughing. And like she's throwing the salt and she says, "Ooh, salt's bad for you, don't have too much."
So my last notes on the story are: hit her, surely she's dead. Nope, not quite. Gonna need to back it up, folks. Nice effect on the snapped wrist. Thump splat credits.
Delicious.
Yeah. Yeah. Very delicious.
Just the
Beautiful night.
smack.
It's amazing.
It's crisp.
It was really well done. So a little bits of trivia about this one. Obviously, as we saw before, I don't know whether we did this while the podcast was running or not, but it's second on the Rotten Tomatoes list of Australian horror films, and it is 49th out of the top 100 worldwide horror films on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's in the top 50 of the top 100.
Wow. That is cool. So it's only surpassed by Babadook at number 1 here, yeah? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
earned a rating of 98%, an average of score of 7.24 out of 10, based on 56 reviews. The reviews were weird. Normally, horror movie fans are a bit more creative when they don't like something or they do like something. I didn't find anything particularly imaginative. The best that I could get was I think it was in Spanish. No pasa de un día de lluvia, which translated by Google Translate is "it doesn't go beyond a rainy day." So I'm not quite sure what the person meant by that. But it seems to have like a really weird mix of reviews.
Just a bad time all the time? Is that what they mean? They're not wrong.
Maybe. Yeah. So final thoughts about the film, folks.
Still definitely one of my favorites, I'd say.
Yeah, I loved it.
Okay. Well, do we want to rate it?
Ooh.
Yeah, of course.
Well, Mr. Popcorn, do you want to go first?
Okay. It's delicious. It will remain as delicious. As you've all seen, my opinion can change after, listening to everyone, because I'm always open to that. Interesting enough, though, I'm not sure if I'm going to call it my favorite Australian film anymore. I'll wait until we finish this series to make that decision. Because in my mind, I've got going on. You brought it up there, Baron. Is the subplot, of the prom necessary? What is this movie actually saying? Or is this just a gleeful exercise in, practical effects and gore, which I'm perfectly fine with.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's not enough to be called my favorite Australian horror film, though. It needs more than just an exercise in brutality. And I'm really not sure if this film is anything past that, of any kind of significance. I'm not trying to negate it in any way here, because I still absolutely love it, because I love a, straightforward, gorgeous, relax, and, comfort and blood and guts. And but that won't put it in the top tier. That doesn't put it in the top tier. I'm still going to keep it as 4 as delicious, but I'll get back to you, children, if it remains my favorite at the end of the series. Yeah, next.
Okay. All right.
4 is
Bat?
delicious, by the way. Yes, 4 is delicious. Yeah, delicious popcorn.
If I had to give it a ranking out of 10, I feel like
5.
I'd balance it on
5.
maybe out of 5. Okay.
Sorry, you don't know.
You
Yeah,
can do halves. You can do halves.
No, I'm gonna go 4. I'm gonna go 4
Okay.
out of 5. And it is a lot, because I do enjoy a good gory movie. I do love a good slasher, all that sort of stuff. And I did really like how they handled the special effects in this movie. Like, as it was mentioned before, like the detail of the bone dust coming out of the drill hole, and also the broken wrist that was mentioned on the road. I saw that, and like the bones popping out. To me, it looked so good. And I also really enjoyed the very brief segments, like at the beginning of the movie, where it was the daughter getting ready for the quote prom and her receiving her crown. Just those very brief moments where it suddenly just felt like a girly coming of age movie, and then it would immediately slap you back into the horror that's
Yeah.
actually happening. And I felt, to me, it was a good balance between, being like, oh, like, this is terrible what's happening to this person. Then it's like, oh, like, how silly, it's a prom. And then you go back to just being like, oh, wait, no, wait a second, torture is happening. I did enjoy being thrown around a little bit.
Okay. Scream Queen?
I mean, I'm very much on the Bats side with this one. I feel like I might have to put it. I'm just gonna go off the review I gave it on Letterboxd. I just gave it a star rating, nothing that intensive. But I gave it between a 4 and a 5. I gave it a 4.5, so it's almost evil, very delicious. I really love it, and I think I would say, I know I was talking about how sometimes gore for gore's sake is very fun. I do think this sort of falls under the category of grief film, similar to Talk to Me. I think the interweaving of the characters through Lola as the main villain, all of them sort of experiencing their own trauma because of this psychological nightmare happening in that household, is very not touching, but it's got a lot of meat there, and I really enjoyed it, and I liked the silly juxtaposition of it all. Big fan. 4.5.
Nice. I didn't realize you could do halves on Letterboxd. You've just expanded my brain. Thank you for that. I've just realized how you can do it. I've got my phone here. I've just changed my review on Letterboxd. I wanted to give it a 4.5, but I couldn't work out how to do the half. But now I have. Now I have.
Yay.
Thank you. So I've given it a 4.5. Same thing. My review on Letterboxd. You reviewed this film. Blah 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 blah. Review.
Letterboxd reviews. We should have an evil popcorn letterbox review. A letterbox.
We should.
Right about that.
Yeah, my reviews don't have a lot of substance.
Mine vary depending how lazy I'm feeling. Sometimes it'll be screams, and other times sweet.
Yeah. So I've put great googly moogly. This was a goddamn roller coaster. Watch it with your finger on the pause button if you've just eaten.
Yeah. I think the only reason this film isn't a 5 for me is because I genuinely am a baby, and I can't. Some of it is just too like cringe inducing, too much for me. I think I love the gore. I think it is there for a reason, and I think it's done expertly, but I can't give it a 5.
It's not
it's just
perfect.
a lot. I don't think it could be like my top.
It's not perfect. It's
not perfect, but it's really good. So I've gone.
And it's fun. If you're a horror fan, this movie's just fucking fun.
Yeah. So
gore fan especially.
Delicious and a half.
I would say it's close to perfect.
Yeah. So we've got 2 deliciouses and 2 deliciouses on the way to evil.
So we like it, but Evil Popcorn recommends this film big time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
2.7 thumbs up.
Whilst we have a pause, and for those who have just joined us or who have forgotten, because the Bat does not know, this is our rating system. 1 to 5, you may choose have halves. 1 is burnt, 2 is flop corn. Flop corn is when you go to make a bag of popcorn and there's all the kernels in the bottom that have not popped. 3 is satisfying. Yeah, it's good. You just got it from Wally's, thrown in it, it's fine. Okay. 4 is just like, oh, what's going on? This is better than usual. And then 5, well, you've done it. That's evil. That's right there. That's a horror film. This is how you do it. Yeah, however you want to interpret that, but that's the general thing. Back to you, Baron.
Makes sense. Thank you. All right. Well, we'll bring this creaky little 2009 horror movie into to go to bed. So, anyone got any plugs for this particular episode? Anything they'd like to shout out?
Evil Corp as always, and otherwise no, not at the moment. Anyone else?
No, the Bat.
I don't have anything at the moment. I think I'll pass for this one because I cannot think of anything.
It's all good. You don't have to. You can shout out some friends that are listening if you like. Shout outs or plugs.
I don't know who listens. I sure do send the link, but God knows who listens.
Okay.
Richard Warman, yeah, he did give me a year pass for Immaculate, or season pass, double pass. So I do
Nice.
have to thank him for that. You've been very kind supporting us there, sir. Thank you. Go check out
Thank you,
his Shit
Richard.
Faith Nightclub Brisbane. Yeah, good man. And we will cover it, yes, at some point. Yes. It is the age of
Yeah.
religious
Scream
horror.
Queen?
Once again. Scream Queen.
I actually do have something to plug.
Ooh.
I'm doing something. Whoa! um, I am doing this mentorship program through the Australian Theatre for Young People. It's called Fresh Ink. I'm one of the 4 Brisbane-based writers. Part
congratulations.
of it. So thank you.
Yeah, cool.
Very excited. So stay tuned. I'll be
Nice.
writing a couple works throughout this year that will hopefully be shared. So
Okay. Well done.
exciting. That's my thing.
All right. So, well, down to me then. So, I've got, as usual, I've got Improv Queensland. We've got a monthly show. Keep an eye out on the Improv Queensland Facebook page, website. Act React Theatre, who I do stuff with. We've got some stuff coming up in the Anywhere Theatre Festival, and I'm going to give a shout out to Supernova Gold Coast, which is I am attending this coming weekend, where I will be performing as an MC and a host for various celebrities, being the conduit from the audience to the stage, and from the stage to the audience.
Very cool.
I feel I'm particularly blessed in that I am able to do this job, and I get paid for it, which is the dream of any performer is to be getting paid to do something on stage. So yeah,
of course. Shout out Dorian. Yes. While we're at it, the Bat.
Oh yes.
Welcome to Evil Popcorn. This is the Bat's first official
Yay!
episode, children. She is now one of us. Thank you so much. And you killed it. Yeah, great stuff. And also,
well done.
On that end, shout out Dorian, kind of like the unofficial fifth member. Yeah, we have The Conjuring coming up. We are going deeper down the horror iceberg. Thank you for watching. Yeah.
One of the things that I will say, I've been listening to the horror iceberg conversations. It couldn't hurt to have a list of, I don't know whether you have done it or not, a list of the gateway films people should watch to join along with your little journey.
Yeah, that's on the Facebook page. Thank you, Baron.
That's on the Facebook page. Okay, cool.
It's on the Facebook page. I wish you could. I know. I'll put it in the on the Facebook page where you've got the pinned posts. Yes, and you can scroll along. You can do more than one nowadays. I will put it up on there, and it has all the tiers as we go. We're doing the last one of the one opus, which is The Conjuring. And so very good, popped up there. And on that end, do follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Evil Popcorn Pod and Evil Popcorn Podcast on YouTube. And as the Baron says, throw us a theory, throw us an opinion about the loved ones and everything that we are doing, because basically, what's the word? Interaction, engagement spreads us out there, and then we grow, and then we can get advertising, and we can sit here and talk to you about mattresses. Joking, of course, but
or Squarespace or meal kits or razors.
But everyone who has listened and done whatever, just listened in general, absolutely love you, children.
So yes, do the thing with that one. It's a horror podcast. I had to break that heart. Well, shall we say goodbye to the
does anyone have any recommendation?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Recommendations. Yes. I've got one. Dark City the Cleaner TV series set in Christchurch. It's on SBS on demand. Some people I heard did say they had some trouble finding it, but that's where it should be. It's a serial killer show set in Christchurch, made in Christchurch. The basic premise of the show is there's a serial killer. He's killing people. He's the main character of the show, and then there's a copycat, and he has to try and work out who the copycat is. So the police procedural part of the show is a serial killer trying to find the copycat murderer. So it's really good.
I'm watching this. Thank you for that recommendation.
That sounds great.
Yeah, exciting me. That's cool. Who wants to go next? I will, while you guys think. Thank you, Sam Hoyas, if that's how you pronounce your name, from Red River Podcast. Check them out. Been following them along and interacting with Sam for a long time. He always puts up great suggestions for things to watch, listen, etc. He suggested the Antisocial Network, Memes and Mayhem. It's a newish documentary on Netflix. And yeah, if you want to know how Donald Trump actually got elected via a bunch of I won't use any derogatory terminology, but when it starts from 2chan, goes to 4chan, goes to 8chan, and then it goes over to America, the kind of 4chanification through the spreading of memes through your Facebooks and everywhere, your socially acceptable platforms, and then it stretches out to QAnon, the Wall Street, what were the Wall Street riots, protests called in the 2000s? We all remember them, yeah. And then it went to Donald Trump, and then it went to Save the Steel. And through a chain of events, Anonymous plays a big part in this, yeah. So
Occupy Wall Street.
Thank you. So yeah, if your brain's been sparking with all these references of this little short history of me given out over the past 20 years, the internet has had a large part to play in it. It's not entirely responsible, of course. Gamergate's another one. It does play a large part in it. It's fascinating and kind of frightening stuff. Yeah, we kind of need to unscrew reality. That's just my little opinion I'll throw in there from this stuff. But yeah, check it out. And also watch WrestleMania. Yeah, 40. It was great.
Okay.
Yeah. Next.
The Bat.
Got to think about it. If I'm going to recommend something, I would recommend a Netflix documentary. It's called Don't Fuck with Cats.
Ooh. I haven't watched it yet.
It's been on there for, yes, I won't spoil too much of it just because you want to go watch it. But yes, it's been on Netflix for a while. And yeah, it's a true crime documentary following an internet murderer. So it's someone that made their presence known online, became an internet phenomenon, and then became a murderer. And it's basically just a documentary on the hunt to find this man. And it is very interesting because it almost feels like a movie.
Okay.
In a sense where things just feel unreal and unpredictable.
Okay. Yeah, it's meant to be a heavy one, that one.
Yeah, I haven't broached it yet. I'm too scared.
Definitely don't watch it if obviously you're sensitive to murder or if you're sensitive to any form of animal abuse. Don't watch it then. Yes. If you have a big heart for animals, don't watch the documentary.
Cool suggestion. Yeah, goodie. That's a goodie.
Scream Queen.
I've actually been watching movies recently.
Ooh.
So I do have things. So I watched this Icelandic film last week called Lamb, if anyone's heard of it. It is a very sort of bizarre horror, almost fantasy, surreal movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much because I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, it is. No, trust me, it is. Yeah.
If it's
yeah. People, that's why a lot of people complain about A24.
Apparently A24. Oh, interesting. Well, yeah, it's sort of a slow burn, sort of insane depiction of this couple who work on a sheep farm in Iceland, and their experience with loss and sort of surrogacy of a sort on their sheep farm. I don't want to say too much. Just go into it blind. It's insane, and I really liked it. I thought it was really well done.
Okay. I imagine it looks beautiful. A24 in Iceland.
It's the landscape is amazing.
I'll watch it.
Very beautifully done. Oh, it does. Yeah, it relies heavily on visuals and less so dialogue, and it's very clever. It's very good.
And also their Scream Queen, I wasn't trying to negate your suggestion there by saying people, complain about this film. These are the dickheads who can't pay attention and want
Oh, I
to
totally get. I
2
mean,
minutes to
there's a lot
baby.
of controversy. People have a lot of feelings about certain production companies,
Of course,
so
yeah.
totally worth mentioning.
We love
their name.
All right. Well, if you'd like to lead the sign off, Mr.
Yeah.
Popcorn.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for watching us, listening to us once again. Hugely appreciated as always. And I am Mr. Popcorn, keeping it buttery.
Yep. Thank you everyone for listening or watching, depending on what platform you are using. But yes, farewell, mortals. I will be seeing you hopefully next time.
Good night, children of the popcorn. I have been Scream Princess, and I will return to Scream Queen next time I see you.
All right. And this is the Baron saying, go to bed, children. Go to bed.
Whoa.